All right, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate 360 Show. My name is Jason Myles, and I am here with the one, the only, Stevie C.
Hello, it is great to be here.
Now, you can't, for those of you that are listening and not watching this on the YouTube channel, we have the Steve Conley's rap persona with us today, hip-hop persona.
Yeah, you got to represent, right? So maybe you should tell everybody, since I'm having a hard time talking.
Yeah, so what we've got going on right now is Steve's been doing a little gold mining, apparently with his mouth. So we have a mouthful of gold today. No diamonds, but very, very shiny gold. Very, very shiny.
Just for just so you know, this is called a grill.
It's a grill. That's correct. That is correct. And what does that grill represent for you today?
It represents, us girls just want to have some fun. And this is a lifestyle business. And you know what? I've done what I need to do with these, and I'm going to take them out.
I think so. We are having, the lisp. It really goes a long way. It really goes a long way. I like the lisp. But the reality of it is, yes, what we're talking about is a lifestyle business. And this is a business that allows you to kind of do what you want to do if you do it correctly. And the main way to do it correctly in terms of finding deals is marketing, right?
Yes, that's where we left off at the last show.
That's correct.
Was marketing.
That's right. So. And you could talk about marketing all day, all night. There's so many different ways to go about it. You can knock on doors. You can send mailers. You can cold call. You can employ other people to cold call for you. You can skip trace. You can, God forbid, you can use the robocalling services.
Oh, gosh, who would do that? Oh, my gosh.
But, hey, listen, people employ every possible option to find deals, right?
Including auctions.
Exactly. Auctions are, but you got to have some cash for that, though.
You got to have some cash, and you really absolutely need a lot of expertise.
You definitely do. I mean, for me, I still go to the auctions on occasion, but it has to be a specific thing. Although it's a good strategy that, again, people with the cash can employ, they can put it to work, and if they just know their numbers, though. If you're looking at a deal and it's at the auction, you have to know how much you're going to spend at the max, and then just don't go over it, because so many people kind of get caught up in the emotion of this whole bidding process, because it can be, a little overwhelming.
Not only the cash requirement puts a big burden on, new investors, old investors, anybody that's, this is a cash flow business. But one of the big challenges, you can't even get in to see the inside of a auction property. You can drive by it usually, and that's it.
That's right.
So you're buying a little bit of a pig in a poke. And, I've only been doing this for about 35 years.
That's all.
And, I've been to a bunch of auctions, where they're trying to sell stuff. And beyond everything else, beyond all the other challenges, the cash, and, you don't know what you're buying, the prices are like out the roof.
They absolutely can be. But, that goes into the next part of this. A lot of the seasoned auction people, they don't come alone, right? And I liken it to the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. You see the one, but it's the two on the side that you don't see, and they're the ones that are setting you up. People don't know that, and they're bidding the prices up. They're bidding against each other because they've got you in the web. They see the emotion in your face.
Right.
They can see that you really want this thing. And 9 times out of 10, they're the sellers, or they represent the sellers. Of course, the most they can get for these, the better. But you see that happen a lot, but you don't see it until you've done it, until you're out there and you're in it. And then you start to notice it. But by the time you've noticed it, you've spent tens of thousands of dollars more than you should have spent on multiple properties.
Absolutely. And you probably have bought 1 or 2 houses at the auction or an auction.
Absolutely. 1 or 2.
I have never bought one because, I'm looking at these things and I'm thinking, I can go buy this, out on the street for less than what they're selling them for. Now, I did have a package of 24 houses that I had that I actually auctioned off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hey, if you want to sell them that way, I think that's a great idea.
It is a great idea, but you have to get yourself into that position.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, and a lot of people don't really know how to get themselves in that position either,
Right.
because it's not a tactic that's utilized by the vast majority of investors. It's generally held for more savvy investors, lenders, things of that nature. Note buyers even.
Right.
So note buyers, that's a great way for note buyers to get in. You're familiar with a couple of the deals that we've done, of course.
Yeah.
We did a deal where we bought the second mortgage. Then we bought the taxes. But the person who owned the house wasn't paying anything at all. So we approached the first lender, the first lien holder, and offered them a discounted price for that first position mortgage. That lender had already started the foreclosure process, which saved us a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done. But we bought the second mortgage, we paid the taxes, so we wouldn't have this huge tax lien. Then we went and bought the first mortgage and allowed the foreclosure to go through. It was a $74,000 all-in acquisition. That property sold at auction for $106,000.
And you didn't even want it to sell.
I didn't want it to sell. I wanted to do the renovations on the
That's
property.
right.
But how can you say no to, $30,000?
Exactly.
I it's just
Today.
a bird in the hand.
That's right.
A bird in the hand. So there's a lot more that you can do. Obviously, with a $30,000 profit, you got all your cash back. But the whole point is these auctions are a great place to make money if you know that you've got a great deal.
Yeah, you probably need some more education before you start doing that, or just go down there and jump in and
That's the best way to get
bidding. What the heck?
That's the best way to go. You go down there and you just look at the people. You just see who's doing what. Stand back.
Yeah.
Stand back from it. And watch the people.
Yeah. Stand back. Don't start bidding.
Don't bid. Don't bid. Don't bid at all. Although there are in some states ways that you can bid.
Right.
And you have 30 days to come up with the money. I know South Carolina's like that.
Right.
But for those folks, that gives them the opportunity to potentially get a good deal because they're bidding against these juggernauts in the marketplace, these private equity firms that are interested in buying them, fixing them, renting them out for a while, and doing maybe a 7, 8, 9% interest rate, interest on the money on an annual basis. We can't live like that.
No.
We
can't do that.
We need much larger spreads. We gotta have it.
A lot of those guys are just cash, and they're moving the money around, so they're not really as active. So they're not adding that energy and time and expertise that we are. So we can't look at our stuff as, hey, we're getting 100% or 200% return on our money,
right?
Because we're adding a lot of effort and energy and time. If we paid somebody to do all those things, then that number would go down a lot.
For sure.
So
for sure. And then, of course, we have those for sale by owners, which
yes,
we are really big, and we were talking about this a little bit Saturday. The market today, you can still find deals, right? But you have to create your deals today. It isn't just as simple as running outside and finding a deal like you could, 15 years ago when they were absolutely everywhere. You really have to orchestrate how you want this deal to play out. Because a lot of times there are situations, specifically when you're dealing with for sale by owner situations.
right.
When they've put it out there for sale, they've done some research. Now, I'm not saying that they're 100% correct in their research, because how many people do we come across that look at the Zestimate and said, hey, my house is worth $300,000,
Right.
but it's missing a front door and they've got boards on all the windows, right? So, those things happen all the time, and then we wind up having to educate a lot of these folks. But it's a task.
Speaking of that education, that's the estimate, of course, is Zillow.
Yeah.
And you have put together a whole training course on how to use Zillow to accurately value properties.
Absolutely.
For selling and for buying.
Yeah. So what we have is a free method, basically, in terms of using Zillow, of how you can evaluate properties without necessarily having to find someone that's an agent that's willing to pull comps for you, that may or may not be the comps you want depending on the agent that you're working with, right? So, you can look there and you can set up ranges, a price range of properties that have sold, of properties that have listed, bed and bath count, square footage, year built, all these different tools that Zillow gives you that you can look and see what has actually sold in the marketplace based on the square footage or the price, whatever it is you're looking for, so you can know what this property can be worth.
Absolutely.
As well as the ability to understand what it's going to cost to renovate it. Because we deal with a lot of people that are calling us and saying, hey, here's a great deal.
Right.
And they throw this deal and they say, look, you can buy it for $160,000. $40,000 in work is going to make it be worth $350,000. And you look at the house and it's 800 square feet.
Oh, yeah.
It hasn't been renovated since
you're talking about that
1947.
Yeah.
It is just ridiculous what some of these quote unquote wholesalers, these professionals, if you will,
right,
kind of just shovel out there to a lot of people that don't know what they're looking at.
I was talking to one wholesaler. He wanted to work with me, and I said, "Yeah, we'll do some stuff." And he'd been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I sent him some properties, and I said, "Make me a flyer." He honestly didn't even know how to actually create an ARV. He didn't know how to actually look up to see what a value might be. He didn't understand how to come up with the numbers for renovation.
Yeah.
The only thing he said, "Listen, the reason I'm a wholesaler is because I find people that have houses, and I turn around and I just send them out." That's all he does.
Yeah, and there are people that are making significant amounts of money doing that, but there's a price, and the price is from the person that's actually buying it. They don't know what they're getting, and they're throwing out of pocket a lot. But we're going to take a break. We got to break for a second, and when we come back, we're going to get right back into this. Awesome.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
Welcome back to Real Estate 360, the show that takes you to the pro. And with me,
Jason Myles. I got to tell you, just for a second there, you sounded like the old Harry Carey. Hello and welcome back.
Oh, no.
Just for a second, I heard Harry Carey.
Okay. Maybe I'm channeling Harry Carey. I don't know.
You're not going to believe what you see and hear today.
That may be true. But since we're on the not believing subject, let's talk about negotiating.
Yes.
So listen, it's not that important. Now, I know you talk about negotiating, and understanding negotiations is kind of critical, but also understanding who you're talking to is, in my opinion, even more critical, because I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I found this great deal and blah, blah, blah. It's in a great neighborhood. Doesn't need that much work. The owner wants to sell it, but he won't budge on his price." And I don't know how to negotiate with him because I need to get it down, $10, $20, $30, $50,000 or something like that. And I'm thinking, in a negotiation, there are two parties, typically two parties, and one of them needs to be more motivated than the other one. In other words, when I'm talking to somebody, a seller in particular, I need that seller to be way more motivated to sell than I am to buy.
Yeah.
That makes negotiations quite simple.
Yeah. Well, that's really, there's a few different schools of thought as it relates to negotiating, and it really depends. When you're trying to buy something from someone you don't know, you're really selling, and that's what most people don't understand.
Yeah.
And part of selling is understanding what your need is as the buyer. How can you buy into me? If I can't identify your pain,
exactly,
I'm never going to be good at my job as a negotiator.
We call ourselves real estate investors, but we're marketers and we're real estate problem solvers.
That's correct.
Now, this scenario I just gave you with this person that had a seller, that seller did not have a particular problem.
Yeah.
So there's no problem for us to solve. There's nothing for us to do there. So the answer to that question is next. Go find somebody that has a problem so that you have a job to do, because otherwise there's no reason for us to exist in the marketplace.
That's right, because not every person is motivated to sell.
Right.
In fact, in a lot of our marketing efforts, we'll get people that call us and say, hey, I'm not really interested in selling, but make me an offer. Let me see what the market, will give me for my house.
And here's
get
what
that a
I
lot.
say to them. Here's what you should do. Do a little research. Find out who the most active realtor is in your neighborhood and call them and have them list your house.
Yeah. And sometimes I could think of one time in particular I got a call like that. And it was actually in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I went over and saw the guy, looked at his house, beautiful house, built in the 70s, very well kept, big ranch on the basement. I mean, it's a big house, big lot.
Mm.
And
I like big ranches on basements.
yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, a little dated, right?
Sure.
But it was something that he could very easily sell right now for, at that point anyway, for about $2.25.
Mm.
And I was just honest with him. I said, listen, I can make you an offer, but my offer is going to be way less than what you can get for this house. My recommendation is that if you are interested in selling it, do what you just said.
Right.
Call this agent or call an agent and get top dollar for it, because this is how much you'll get for this house as it sits right now. And I was just honest with him. And I find that when I'm in those kinds of situations, it's a lot easier just to, instead of lowballing someone, because there's a bunch of deals out there. I mean, you don't have to fight for the one deal. You don't have to, tell this person. You don't have to take advantage of people.
You
right?
don't. We were talking about this earlier today.
Yeah.
All you have to do is imagine what you want.
That's right.
And do it in the proper way, and then just watch the universe deliver it to you. Now, that sounds really airy-fairy, but, you said something when we were talking about this morning.
Yeah.
You said, and it's real.
It is real. Living in abundance, I know we're kind of sidebar, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Any success at anything you do, you have to be confident in what you're doing. You can't walk around life worrying about, oh, how do I pay this bill? I need this money. Listen, we live in a world that's full of abundance. The example that I use are the trees. The trees live in abundance. They don't try to live. They don't try to breathe. They don't try to grow. They just do. Now, of course, we as humans have to act. There has to be action behind what we do, but we are surrounded by power. We are surrounded by powerful energy, and that energy will take us to everywhere we want to go. So as it relates to the kind of energy you put out there, if you try to take advantage of someone, that's the kind of energy you're going to get back.
It's all a reflection.
It is.
Every single thing is a reflection.
It is.
Some people call it karma, but I don't really go to the karma route. I think it's more just, it's going to show, you're going to see yourself in everybody else out there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But let's not get too deep into this, because we're here for real estate investing.
But it's very specific.
But it's my favorite subject,
Absolutely, because it's real. And the reality of that is, by not taking advantage of this guy, and telling him, look, I'm going to offer you like $160,000, but it's worth $65,000 more right now.
Yeah.
That guy appreciated that conversation so much, he started sending me. Now, I didn't do any deals with the people that he sent, because they wanted the same kind of thing. But
right.
But the point is, we built a relationship in that moment, a positive relationship in that moment of just sharing an honest opinion about what he could do with his house, instead of trying to lowball him and steal the house, basically. I mean, not really technically steal it, but but he sent me, I think, 3 or 4 other people that were interested in selling their homes, and that would not have happened had I tried to take advantage of them. And that, again, goes right into how we build these relationships with these people in that moment, so that we can effectively negotiate.
And he hadn't really not any particular problem for you to solve.
None whatsoever.
So,
there was no pain there.
Right.
So one of the things that I do when I'm negotiating is shut up.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful.
Yeah. I say nothing.
Yeah.
I ask a question, and then I will just be quiet and listen to what the person has to say about this house, because you never know. And the only way you're going to know is if you have some kind of inside information or if you shut up and listen to what they say, because you're going to know in just a matter of minutes if this is a house that they grew up in,
Yeah.
or, it was a family member that passed away and left it to them. They're going through a divorce, and it was an investment property. They're tired of renters destroying the house, whatever the case. We'll never know that if we don't just shut up and listen. And, of course, ask the right questions that will allow that person to talk as they walk you through the property.
If you tend to forget about that, let's break down the asking word for a minute. Let's break it down into 2 words. First 2 letters, as, and the last 4 letters, king. So you're acting as a king when you ask questions and you're asking.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. You never heard that, have you?
I have not.
Yeah, that's
I will be incorporating that into a lot of conversations over the next couple of weeks.
Asking questions is so powerful. We've all heard, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use those proportionately, but that's one of those, things you hear over and over again, and after a while you don't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a new twist.
I like that twist.
Yeah.
As king.
As king.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid.
Hey, what else would people do to find, great deals on houses?
It's really interesting that you even bring this up, because for some reason this has really been the energy that has kind of taken over, our social media stuff. We've got people from all around the country right now calling and saying, hey, listen, I'm trying to find properties. I got a message on Instagram yesterday from a guy in Colorado. All week it's just been people in different places.
Yeah.
And, they're like, hey, listen, I'm in this market. I can't really do this because of the values. And the reality of it is you can do it everywhere. You can simply just put out your bandit signs. Is it going to work? Yeah, if you're consistent with it. Are you going to get 1 million phone calls a week if you've got 5 million signs out there? Absolutely. Right. But generally, no. I mean, you have to couple your efforts. We had a gentleman that had $200 and he's like, what can I do?
Yeah.
So I said, hey, you got a computer? Yes. Do you have a printer? Yes. Okay. Make flyers, 4 to a sheet, and go out and start knocking on doors.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I did.
Yeah.
It's what I did. And there you go. And then we talk about how you set up your contracts and how you get due diligence periods, but that's a whole nother thing. But
when I had $200, that was all I had.
Yeah.
I went down and ran an ad.
Yeah.
I wanted people calling me.
Yeah.
But, everybody has their own way, and the door knocking way is extremely powerful.
It is. And again, there are other things that you can do as well. We talk about reverse marketing, cross marketing, other people's properties.
Sure.
You don't have to necessarily know how to go out there and find a deal right now. You should, because your profit margins are, a lot larger when you're the point of contact for that purchase. But if you're just starting out and you really don't have a bunch of time, you don't have a bunch of money, and you're a little bit internet savvy. I mean, you don't really have to be too savvy to know how to use Facebook, right? Get involved in Facebook groups, real estate groups, marketing groups, specifically, though, for real estate, and start to market other people's properties and make yourself $1,500, $2,000, $2,500.
Jump into Craigslist.
Absolutely.
You can buy stuff there, you can sell stuff there.
That's right.
Now you have to weed through some of the nonsense on Craigslist, but hey, it's just part of it.
And it's a great way. It's a beautiful place to build your active buyers list.
That's how I started mine.
That's right. Me too.
Time.
I mean, it just makes no sense, really, when you have this opportunity in front of you not to take advantage of it when it can cost you nothing to do. But we do have to take this break, Steve.
Okay.
We're coming up against a hard break.
All right, well then, let's talk about some other stuff when we get back.
See you in a minute. Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
All right, we are back. Welcome back, Steve. How was the break?
It was fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Seems like it's been forever.
Yes. Hey, a friend of mine, he called me up and he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing good." He said, "What do you mean, doing good?" I said, I'm doing great." He said, "What about the words you always say every time I call?" And I said, "Oh, what word?" And he said, "The F word." I said, "Oh, fantastic. I'm doing fantastic." For some reason, I was, not on that wavelength.
Not that day.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something, Steve.
Yes.
Now, we hear a lot of people, when I say people, I mean other investors or a lot of the quote-unquote gurus out there talk about not buying properties that were listed or not using agents,
Right.
At all. I know how you feel about it. I know how I feel about it, but can you kind of share with everybody your real thoughts?
My real thoughts?
Yeah.
No hokey pokey or anything?
No hokey pokey.
So we love realtors. I love realtors, Granted, not all of them understand what we do,
Right,
which is
right.
fine. But there are a lot of them that do understand. Now, we're always using, we've always got, 2, 3, 4 realtors that we're working with at any one time
Yeah.
to help us find real estate deals and to help us sell them, of course. Certainly after we've gone through and renovated one, we want to retail it, we just list it.
Yeah.
Or
Or even when we have some deals that might take us a little longer to sell, because that happens. I mean, you wind up with inventory sometimes. We'll do non-exclusive agreements with agents all the time.
Yeah.
To
list.
in an attempt to appeal to a broader audience, right?
Hey, we keep saying this is about marketing.
Yeah.
So guess what? Realtors have in some cases, a lot of cases, have a much wider reach with their MLS systems, and then they'll go ahead and post it on Zillow and Redfin and Trulia and all those other sites. And that takes a lot of time and effort and energy. That if we're working on 12 renovations and a half a dozen wholesale deals and some commercial stuff, we may not really have the time or the desire to do that in our spare time,
especially with problem deals.
Yeah, that's right. We got. Hey, listen. Speaking of that, when you go to these real estate seminars and they show you these great deals out there, and they just line up, and then you get out on the street and you start looking at them. None of them look like that.
Yeah.
And that's why there are mentoring courses. That's why there's education courses, and we just happen to have one coming up, which is a pretty simple one. It's called Wholesale Mastery.
Yes.
And that is, I think we're going to charge $5,000 for that. It's 2 hours with me and you.
Yeah. I was actually going to double that to 10.
It's worth it.
It is,
because you get us, and then you can call us and do whatever you want to do.
And in all actuality, real estate is a relationship business. Everything is relationships, right? So it's who it's how you can kind of network with people, how you can build with people that are already in it, how you can partner with people that maybe have the same skill set within reason as you. What we offer in these events, and we're just kidding, it's not 5,000, it's not 10,000, but what we offer here,
it's $199, right?
Not even.
What?
It is about 10% of that.
Why are we doing it?
Because we want to help you. There's no other.
We're going to lose money.
We lose money every week because there's only 30 seats available, generally speaking, right? So this isn't about it being a profit center for us. It never is. It never was, right? What we do, these local live events, are really to build a network of people that want to do deals, that are doing deals, that offer funding, that offer financing, that want to be in short-term and long-term partnerships, whether they're single-family or multifamily. Right. Those are the things that we want to do. We are creating relationships, or at least the opportunity to create relationships with and for people. And that's what this is all about. I mean, you're not going to come there. It's not cocktail hour. You're going to come there and you're going to get actionable information. You're going to know exactly what to do when you leave there. You're going to know who to do it with. You're going to have options. You're going to get your questions answered. Maybe you're in the middle of something, or you're trying to do something and you just can't get over the hump. This is a perfect place to get those questions answered and to know exactly what you need to do to get to where you want to go.
And that's Wholesale Mastery?
That's Wholesale Mastery.
You can find that on Eventbrite. Now, it's not really 10% of $199. It's going to be, we're going to round it off to $20.
That's right.
Okay.
So it's 10.0011. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can find that on Eventbrite. Just go type in Wholesale Mastery and look for it. It's going to be in Smyrna from 10 o'clock until 12 o'clock. And that is, let me just check my schedule here. That is August the 17th, Saturday, August the 17th.
Saturday, August 17th. We recommend people get there by, 9:30 so you can get your continental breakfast, which consists of fruit
and
donuts
and coffee
and juice. And there's probably going to be a little water.
Maybe we should skip the breakfast so we can maybe get closer to breaking even on this. What do you think?
Maybe. No.
Okay.
Well, instead of 2 fruit trays, we'll just have 1.
All right. Well, okay.
I'm tired of taking them home.
Well, listen, we were talking about where to find properties and realtors, and so there was this time when I was just kind of starting over again, and I was looking for stuff, and I didn't really want to spend any money. And so this realtor, I was working with this realtor, and she was an investor, friendly realtor. She understood what it was I needed,
Yes.
And so she sent me stuff, and there was this particular property that came across my desk, and I said, oh, yeah, I like this one. And so I hopped in the car and just went down and drove by, looked at it, couldn't get inside. Didn't matter so much because, wait a minute, no, this is one I didn't even go look at. I just wrote the contract. I said, yeah, let's do this one because it looked good. Now, why can I do that? Well, I've got a few years experience at this thing. I know what I'm looking at usually right when I see it on a piece of paper. Now, it's kind of like the internet. Things look different when you actually see them in person,
Right.
But this was pretty cut and dried for me. So I wrote the contract, and it got accepted. And so I did my marketing thing, and I wrote a contract and sold it pretty much in a week or two, cleared $4,000. And this is on a listed property.
Yeah. Now there is a process that you have to follow when you're dealing with listed properties, and we do that. And I think we talked about this at another time, where we got those properties out in East Cobb.
Right.
There were 2 of them we got out there, and they were asking $460. We got them down to, I think, $350 or $360, $380, somewhere in there. But we kept the listing. We asked them to keep the listing in there because we were marketing, and it gave us a lot of room to negotiate that price. Exactly. So people would search it, and they'd say, oh, this property is listed for $460, right, or $450. We've already got the property under contract. So it doesn't matter if they're calling whatever agent, right? So we're marketing that property to our network for substantially less than the $460. I think we were at $425, or maybe even a little bit less than that on one of them.
Could be.
But that's what you do. I mean, it creates leverage for you. So when people are going online and they're searching this particular property, they're seeing that it's listed at $460, but they're seeing that you're offering at $425. It gives them an incentive to call you, although they're probably going to call an agent or that agent. Which
they might.
You don't really care. It doesn't matter because you have it tied up.
So what you're saying, if you have a property that you're trying to sell that's listed out there for $100, but you're trying to sell it for $120,
ain't going to happen.
That's kind of hard. Is that what you're saying?
It's pretty difficult.
Okay.
Because you know what? What's going to happen? They're just going to put up backup offers, right?
Of course.
And that's fine. But you have to be smarter than the average bear, boo-boo.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So you have to absolutely 100% get a better deal than the 100 it's listed at.
Yeah.
Period, point blank. I mean, I've known people that will get it maybe at the 100 or 95,000, just throwing numbers out there, and have the listing go up the price of the listing go up
Mm-hmm.
so that they can create that illusion of a spread. There are so many different angles that one could utilize. The reality of it is there are deals there. So whether you're wholesaling, whether you're a fixer, flipper, or buy and hold person, there are absolutely deals that can be had. Is it as good as it was in 2009? Absolutely not.
Well,
it isn't.
No.
There are deals there, but they're not in abundance as they were 10 years ago.
Well, you got to go make them, I heard. Somebody said that to me.
You got to go make
a little bit earlier in this show, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
I think somebody said, you got to go create your opportunities in this market.
That's exactly right.
They're not now hanging on trees, or there's a plethora of them out there. It makes no difference if you can't recognize them when you see them.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You and I can see them like crazy, and we see what's happening now. So now there's always new strategies. We've been around, some of us, for several decades. You and I both.
Couple cycles.
So yeah, exactly. Precisely. That's exactly where I was going. There's cycles in the marketplace. Things go up, things go down. There's the RTC. There's the crash of '08, and then things went down. Now things are going up. And what's next?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's inevitable for us to have a correction. But how do you prepare yourself for that?
Right.
And that's not a that's a real question. You have to prepare yourself for the downside. So many people get stuck in wholesale, fix and flip. That's what I do. This is what I do. And then they are stuck in an economic cycle that they can't get out of until the cycle turns, because they have not prepared themselves for this change.
Right.
That is inevitable. That is always going to happen.
And that's why we're moving aggressively into multifamily.
That's right. But listen, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And can we touch back on that when we come back? Just a little bit?
I don't think so.
All right. I love it.
All right.
All right. See you in a minute.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
All right, we are back. Steve, we just left off talking a little bit about, we actually just mentioned multifamily.
Yes, we did.
And I wanted to
I did not say no, we weren't going to talk about multifamily.
You sure did, but we got to do it.
Okay, all right.
Listen, we've got people out here that are, they watch a lot of television, they go to a lot of seminars, and they kind of get stuck into that single-family real estate business, right?
And can I clear up something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
They talk about single families as cash flow properties, and I've got to disagree with that. After years and years of experience in trying to get a reliable, solid cash flow out of a single family house, I just can't figure out how to do it. Now don't get me wrong, single families are a fantastic equity play, but you've got to have a job or something to generate some cash flow.
Yeah.
If you're going to hold a single family for rental and expect that to give you cash flow, please don't. But if you expect it to get paid down over, 15, 20, 30 years, and you have a great asset on your balance sheet, and your net worth goes up a lot because you've got appreciation and depreciation, and the cash flow to help pay for the mortgage, then if you go in with the right expectations, it's a great
right.
deal. But for cash flow, what do we do?
It's multifamily, and it's all a cash flow business. I think that, and again, I'm generalizing, but I believe that going into a multifamily property, you shouldn't go into it expecting an enormous amount of appreciation over time.
Right.
You shouldn't. This is all about cash flow. It's purely about cash flow.
Multifamily is your cash flow. Single family is your appreciation and equity.
Correct. Now, that doesn't go without. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't create equity in the multifamily space, because that's what we do. We're looking for what's called value add opportunities in the multifamily space. Maybe it's physically distressed. Maybe there are managerial issues that are just, maybe there's just no manager, right?
Right.
There's no management whatsoever.
Or maybe they just don't care,
which we also see,
right.
right? But if they're willing to sell at the price we're willing to pay under those circumstances, Yeah, so now you might buy a building for $1 million that you might have to stick 600,000-700,000 into it, but it's worth $3 million when it's all said and done. You've just created, 1.2, 1.3 million, $1.4 million, not to mention the increase in rents that you get. My mentor's mentor, you'll hear me talk about it all the time, when he was going into those deals, meaning the first year, all he wanted to do was make $100 a month per door.
Right.
That was it.
He wanted
a
a net $100.
He wanted
per
a net
door?
$100 a month per door.
Okay.
But what people fail to realize is he was a buy and hold guy. He wasn't a guy who was willing to sell it in, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. He wanted to hold. But what happens to your rents every year?
Well, I guess they go up.
At least 2%, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who rents knows this happens every time your lease is up. It's a little bit more expensive, Now, some of that, of course, as the property owner, your taxes are going up as well. And some of your other expenses do go up as well. But just to put the math pretty simply, if he's making $100 this year, well, next year he's making 102.
Right.
And the year after that, he's making 104 and change. And now it really starts to compound over time. And again, it's a cash flow business. So if you're making money in the single family business, and you want to stay in real estate, I think it's very important that one diversifies into another aspect of real estate. That is, I'm not going to say recession proof, but what I am going to say is everyone has to be able to live somewhere, and they have to be able to do it affordably.
What happened, speaking of recession proof, what happened to multifamily in 2009, for example?
It was one of the most interesting things. Now, I must show you this in comparison, right? So in comparison, single families during the real estate bubble bursting,
Yes.
there were about 10%, slightly more than 10%, but approximately 10% of single family mortgages that went belly up. And you saw what happened to our economy. I mean, it was
devastating.
It was devastated with just 10% of the market falling out. That's because of a whole different situation. Our central banking system, how all that works, selling debt ratios,
Yes.
blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Now, multifamily, in that same time period, only 0.4% of the number of foreclosures were multifamily.
Wow.
Only 0.4% of the multifamily units on the market, only 0.4% of them went into foreclosure.
So lenders really kind of like multifamily.
Lenders they love them because they're cash flowing, right?
Right.
If they get this one house like you were talking about before, if a bank forecloses on one house, and there's generally they're not getting those rents aren't coming in, and they're going to offer that person cash for keys to get out of there,
Right.
in short time. Well, that's not the way it goes with multifamily and banks. These things are cash flowing. They simply take it over.
And they take over the rent collections.
They take over the rent collections, put new management in, or they use the existing management. If it isn't in-house from the previous owner, if it's outsourced, they'll use the same ones generally.
But
And then
they don't want to do any of that. That's not what banks do. They're not interested in acquiring multifamily.
They are not. But you know what? They're very interested in you bringing them a deal that makes financial sense.
Right.
These are properties that it's not about you personally, right?
It's not.
It's not about you personally, and depending on where you're getting the money from to do these kinds of deals, they are not going to ask you. You don't have to do a personal guarantee,
Right.
right? It's the asset. It's the asset that makes sense to them. And again, it depends on, what kind of asset you're buying, what condition it's in when you're buying it. All of that actually matters. So the processes to do it are the same really as single family. So if you're going to buy doors to rent,
Right.
wouldn't you like them to be in one square?
It's a lot easier, than to collect it from 50 units if they're all in one spot.
Exactly.
And then maybe you could afford to hire a property manager and just let them pay the property manager.
That's right, because property managers at that point are 5-6% as opposed to 10% on the single family side.
Right.
Rental processes are a lot easier to manage. Property is a lot easier. You only have to cut the grass at one property instead of 50 or 60.
Yeah.
So if if anyone has an interest in investing in multifamily, what do they need to do, Steve?
Well, they probably need to find us, and we have programs where, and you mentioned this in one of the first shows that we did, that if you have a lot of money and no time, this is multifamily. We're syndicating some multifamily right now that gives people a great return to get all the benefits of ownership with none of the headaches of actually doing any of the work.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think that there are a lot of people out there that want to get involved in real estate. There are disbursements that are going on a regular basis from monies that are generated from these things. There's quarterly profit to be split from cash flow. There's equity that's shared throughout the process. There's depreciation that's shared throughout. All of those great things. I mean, listen, by diversifying in the real estate market, a lot of people watch TV and they get sucked into the fix and flip game and the wholesale game. It's a great place to start if you've got some time and you don't have any money. It really is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun too.
It is, and of course we're not knocking it.
No,
we'll never knock it. But the point is, you live and you learn, and the longer you live, you grow. You have these different experiences, and going through pain is the best teacher ever.
Yeah,
that's I don't know any other experience that I've learned more from than the pain that I've been through in different aspects of life.
You know what they always say, at least what I always say, if you're not making any mistakes, then you're not doing anything.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
you're watching TV.
That's it. I mean, we watched what happened during we did more than watch. We were a part of what happened.
Oh, yeah.
During the crash. I mean, we were affected. I think I know that most Americans were affected by this, whether they were involved in the real estate industry or not. Mm-hmm. Americans were affected by what happened in 2008-9, and really 10, it started to kind of turn around a little bit. But we really went through it, and that taught a lot of us how to diversify, how to stick through certain markets, how to stick with things, because we saw, people sell off things, and we saw the comeback for the people that didn't sell things off. We witnessed the comeback.
So you saw me down there selling off some stuff. Huh?
There's a lot of sell-offs going.
Yeah,
there were a lot of that, man. So it's you have to diversify. You have to think about your future, and it's all about cash flow and having equity. Equity grows a lot faster because it compounds.
Right.
So that's just where we are.
Cool. I want to remind people of the Wholesale Mastery. August 17th, go to Eventbrite.
Yes.
Sign up for that.
Yeah, you got
only if you want to, but don't do it if you don't want to.
You got to come.
Yeah,
you got to come. Or don't. If we tell them not to, they probably will.
Hey,
don't come.
We only have a certain amount of space, and we only have so many donuts. So
absolutely. So listen, we want to thank you for taking this time to listen to us today. This is Jason Myles,
Steve Connolly,
Real Estate 360 Pro,
taking you from the show to the pro.